could see nothing, not a foot ahead of them. Then they saw a light, a light, a light. For a moment, they could see nothing, not a foot ahead of them. Then they saw a light, a light, a light.
Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Honestly, so much news. So much news today. We're gonna kind of go back, cover some topics that I was planning on doing yesterday, but the UFO House hearing kind of took precedent over that. And yeah, we have a lot. Start with new Apple products, and then a lot of AI news today, with OpenAI, some benchmarking and AI welfare stuff. It'll be interesting. Let me get situated here. I forgot about this this cool website that I used to get their email newsletter, but Proof News, where it's like data driven news, but it's started by Julia Angwin, who is a big privacy advocate, and she started the Markup, which was another nonprofit, kind of big. They said they described it as like big tech watches us, we watch big tech. And they have a great newsletter and do great like data driven reporting, and they've also made a bunch of tools, which is cool. But yeah, she's just a good advocate for privacy. And she started the Markup and also Proof News, but this is kind of her main project now, seems like. So I forgot about it. I'm going to start using it as a source in my rotation. And also Blue Sky. I'm Twitter is yeah, I mean excuse me. we'll just start. I mean, just starting with this. I'm not gonna cover this, but yeah, it's crazy. It's like now they realize how much power Elon Musk will have, and now that now they want to come back. Like, come on, guys, have a little bit of a spine. Yeah, look at this. Dang. Yeah, Threads and Blue Sky. So I don't really. I know I joked about like who even uses Threads, but there's actually no ads on it right now, and I was actually reading that Facebook is going to start next year, but just a little bit. And yeah, I don't know if I can give in and make a Threads just because I don't like Facebook. Although yeah, we'll see. I might make one, but I need to start posting in general. I've been experimenting. Yesterday I did kind of a bit of an experiment where I took my transcript. I transcribed my stream, and I say a lot of uhs and stutter words like that, and I really need to stop. I need to slow down, be more clear with my speaking. That's honestly my biggest complaint with myself is I jump around a lot. I don't finish thoughts. I say like, I need to be better with that. But I think part of it is just slowing down a bit. But it's hard when I'm really into the subject or I'm passionate about it, which I am about all this stuff. So that's what I'm saying. I need to stop doing that. So I transcribed my previous stream, and I wanted to feed it into some sort of AI or some sort of chatbot, or train something on all of my previous streams. And I want to do this for all of them, and then I could kind of collate my opinions and things like that, and like I could reference it and create stream summaries and turn that into like other content, I guess. Or I could just do it myself, but this just seemed cool. And I've been wanting to actually try a llama out, Facebook's model, and I found this LM Studio in Jan. LM Studios definitely provides a lot more than Jan. And I this is the first time outside of gaming that I've essentially maxed my computer out, and that I actually need compute power for something. Like I underestimated how much compute power, like large context when you're using a large context with a model. I was maxing out RAM, CPU, and my 3080 just to, and all I wanted to do, and I mean the context is huge, so I mean it makes sense, but like this one is 61,000 tokens. Mind you, it's essentially half of what I think GPT-4 is, like 120,000 or 4.0, but this is a lot. And I thought it was gonna be like a little easier, and this literally lags my computer. Like I couldn't really do much else, and all I did was, this is my entire stream transcript, and I said, hey, can you clean it up, remove the uhs and ums, and make the sentences more coherent. And I don't even want to click on to load it because it's gonna use up a lot of RAM. But this is the kind of clean version that I got, which was significantly less tokens than the original. So, I mean, that helped, but it took almost an hour to clean it up and process it, generate the prompt, and do everything. It probably took over an hour to do all of that. I just didn't expect it to take that long. And I just underestimated the compute power needed. So yeah, it's actually nice to be able to use all of my my full computer for something that's not gaming. I don't know, even video rendering isn't that much. Like, it's pretty quick. But this tool is cool. This LM Studio, it's a little clunky and it lags quite a bit. Like right now, yeah, it's like it was just lagging. Come on. Oh. But it's probably because of all the large token stuff. But I don't know. It does lag a lot. And this Jan one is a cool too, but it's a little simpler. The main reason I wanted to use this LM Studio is that you could actually feed it files, which is what I was kind of trying to do in this other one. I was trying to do it like right before stream, but I didn't have time, and I knew it would take too long. And so this is essentially the cleaned up stream transcript processed, and I'm just kind of testing it. I talked about Boom Supersonic, so I was like, what are my opinions on Boom Supersonic? But in this, actually, also big thing is it has RAG, retrieval augmented generation. No. And so you don't, it could just take pieces of it out and use that as the context, but it has actually different kinds of injection strategy. So I mean, I don't know, this LM Studio is pretty cool. It just I wish it didn't lag as much, but I'm not sure how much that's their fault. And yeah, Jan, I ran into problems with its context, but yeah, this is, I just didn't update it, and so it kind of took out, I guess there's like on here you could even change you're able to change something. Kind of, you were able to change if the context length is too long. Do you want it to chop off the top, middle, or end, or do you want it to be like a rolling window, which is kind of cool. Because like in here the context length is too long, and so it chopped out the middle, which is kind of weird. And also I've been using this Hermes Llama 3.1, not 3.2, because this one, I guess it's like a fine-tune one. I can't remember who is the actual developer of it, but it's more fine-tuned than Llama, so I figured I'd give it a try. But I might try the Llama 3.2 1 billion 1B just to reduce compute and like speed it up a bit, so I could have larger context and not have to worry about slowing down. But it honestly, it hasn't been that good. I did the same thing with ChatGPT, but I think something similar happened where they cut off, I don't want to load up ChatGPT, but they cut off the context. Like, I fed it a file and I don't think it got the full context of it, because it was kind of skipping around, or it didn't cover all the topics really. But I think if I get a workflow down, or like a good prompting or a good system down, that I could like summarize it, I don't know, I think it'd be cool to be able to extract that from my stream and I don't have to go back and scrub and see what I say. It kind of has weird artifacting too. But I even prompted it. I was like, frame it like a newsletter, where it's like you say the factual news up the top that I kind of read out from articles and stuff, and then share my opinions below it, and then I don't know, you kind of have a newsletter already. Or I could and then I could just go in and add the links in sources and such, the articles I read. So yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. I'm gonna try and experiment with that going forward. I had the idea the other night, but wasn't really sure how to execute it. Honestly, I'm still not sure. Like, this just seems a really inefficient way, just feeding the entire stream in here, or even via file. So yeah, I used Flowwise previously before to kind of create my own kind of workflow using the OpenAI API, but I think that will get pricey pretty quick, especially feeding this much in. So I don't know how cost effective that will be. That's what led me to wanting to try and get a local model like Llama or Mistral or something else. And also I thought Grok XAI, Elon Musk company, I thought that was public, but I thought it was open source, but I don't think it's like as open source as I don't think it's as open source as I thought it was, and it's more I don't know, it's like harder to get. Like I registered with like to get Llama, and then I could just get most of it on Hugging Face, and I was being super optimistic. I was like, oh, I'm gonna try the 405 billion parameter one or whatever, and like this Jan warns you when like you check other models, it's like this is gonna be slow on your device, and then it just straight up like you don't even have enough RAM. Like I can't even do the 70. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, bro, you don't even have enough VRAM. You need a bigger graphics card. And I was reading the on Facebook's on the Llama website, it's like you need at least 8 GPUs. Like not even, I thought it was just like 8 cores, but it's like no, you need 8 GPUs at least. I was like, holy shit. So I thought it was funny. I was being way too optimistic. All right. Let's get into the news. Let me close these. These took up too much RAM. Although, streaming uses a lot less compute power than it used to. I feel like I've had pretty clean streams, no compute constraints. I feel like before, like I'm talking like 10 plus years ago, when you kind of want to make like gameplay videos, you know, using like fraps, and it would like you just lag your game, and then on top of that the files would be so big, like there's just so much actually like a lot to figure out, and like you need a lot of performance for stuff like that. And nowadays, I mean, like my computer's fine, but comparing to something like using local AI, it's nothing. I mean, I'm using like 0.1 CPU. Let's see. You know, I have 32 gigs of RAM, and like, you know, GPUs. We're using hardware transcoding or whatever. So I mean, it's actually using a pretty good amount now that I think about it. Actually, yeah, I kind of take it back a little bit. Because I'm hardware transcoding. But I guess I don't really play games on stream, so I don't really have to worry about that too much. Anyways. Yeah, this is interesting. And it's shitty at the same time that just because now he has power, people want to be friends. But it's whatever. I mean, this is just kind of what happens. Same reason why all these big tech companies were calling Trump. Just being like, yeah, I just want to say hi, you know? It's like, yep, nope, just saying hi. Nope, just saying hi. Oh, you won the presidential election? Oh, I didn't even notice. Congrats. I was just saying hi. I wasn't calling because of that. But, yeah. All right, let's start with this. There's really nothing, but it's honestly like, I mean, it's a long time coming, honestly. Like, I don't know. I think this may have been predictable. I don't know. But this is a space reporter at Ars, senior space editor, so trusted source. I love Ars Technica. But he says, to be clear, we are far from anything being settled, but based on what I'm hearing, it seems at least 50-50 that NASA's Space Launch System rocket will be canceled. Not Block 1B, not Block 2, all of it. There are other ways to get Orion to the moon. Other ways, as in SpaceX or our European partners, but obvious answer, ICPS is a ULA design, so they already know the relevant Orion interfaces. Putting Orion on Vulcan means there's no need to spend the effort on putting Starliner on Vulcan. Starliner being Boeing's crew capsule. This picture is horrible. But this is the crew module, Orion, I guess, up here. Then this is Vulcan. And then he says, my sense is the solution would be launching Orion on one rocket. Probably Falcon Heavy, FH. I'm assuming that's FH. From, 39A, Launchpad 39A. And then docking with a separately launched Centaur 5 and boosting it to the moon. Centaur 5, is that ULA? Yeah, it's ULA. United Launch Alliance, mind you, joint venture between Boeing and Lockheed Martin. Which both of them have tried to sell in the past, and Boeing is currently wanting to sell too, because Boeing's selling off all of their space divisions, including the ISS, which we kind of covered yesterday. So let's just see. When Bridenstine had NASA look at such options a few years ago, and I think this is the Trump administration NASA administrator. Yeah, I remember. I recognize him. Yep, former NASA administrator. A few years ago, I think the main reason it was rejected was concerns about how long it would take. They set an artificial deadline to try and make something happen during Trump's first term, and believed Boeing about accelerating SLS. Yes, and Boeing is also the one who's running the Space Launch System. The main reason it was rejected is Senator Shelby called Bridenstine. Also, he corrected his name. I guess he spelled it wrong. Yeah. Shelby called Bridenstine and said if he didn't knock that shit off, he was canceling funding for Artemis. That's crazy. Okay, fair, but schedule was the excuse they used to explain why they came to the same conclusion as Darth Shelby. The truth is they could snap their fingers and have this done in a year. It would just cost a shit ton of money, and NASA's budget is insanely low for what they actually do. It's crazy. I mean, it's a few $1 billion, compared to $500 billion for Defense Department, etc. So I mean, for what NASA actually does in a little amount of money that they have to do this, it's crazy. And if they want, the government could snap their fingers, quadruple NASA's budget, even more so, give them a little 25B, and they'd be good to go. Let's see what their actually budget is, just so I'm not speaking out my butt. All right, so it is 25 billion. Yeah, so I mean, if they give essentially if they give NASA more money, they could do this as quick as they want. This is interesting. When was this? 03. Dang, California and Florida. Yeah, California, Texas, Florida are probably the three most. Maryland has a Goddard Space Center, I believe, which is it's a big one. Scythe Goddard. This is an interesting chart. I mean, it's hell outdated, but I think directionally it's still probably right. California, we have several launch facilities and NASA facilities. I mean, Texas obviously has a bunch, in Florida. But it's curious. I mean, this is old, but Maryland got a lot. But anyways, yeah, they could. The government could snap their fingers and they could have this, you know, done quick. The problem, though, I see that the problem is that Boeing is part of the military-industrial complex. There it is. Gotta tick that up. But and so that's why it's so slow. They know how to play the game. They intertwine it. What did I describe it? I described it in my write-up on Boeing, where I said yeah, I said yeah, large legacy government contractors like Boeing have politically intertwined, extremely bureaucratic, and convoluted manufacturing supply chains, which I would describe as what the multi-industrial complex is. But that's why shit's taking long. You know, Boeing knows how to play the game. Senators want jobs. They, you know, do whatever. And so when Boeing gets a contract like this, they know how to play the game. They go to, you know, lobby other, you know, politicians, be like, hey, if I build this in your district, like, you know, will you hook me up or whatever? Or I'll give you a, you know, little donation or whatever. You know, they curry favors with each other, and then it gets so convoluted and intertwined in politics that it gets slowed down, and it's dependent on, you know, other things. And yeah, I mean, that's not good for technological innovation. Let alone something that actually has pretty tight deadlines and is in terms of engineering is very complex. So anyways, this is interesting, and it kind of sucks because we're gonna leave it to private companies, i.e. SpaceX, United Launch Alliance, and it just gives them a lot of power. Also, I guess sucks as like it wasted. I mean, like what we've done so far wasted billions of dollars in taxpayers' money. That's probably the worst part. Yeah, so it's a bit frustrating, and it definitely pushes back our like moon missions now, because there's gonna have to be a lot of other stuff to happen. So, anyways. Yeah, I thought I'd cover this because I thought it was interesting. We'll wait to see more confirmation. Again, it may not, but yeah, I mean, it honestly, like, maybe just it's a bit of a sunk cost fallacy, maybe even at this point, because I don't know how yo, what's up? I don't know how realistic it would have been. You know, Destin from Smarter Every Day gave a talk about this and how it's going to take like 12 rockets essentially to get us to the moon. So, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about this. And also it sucks because it's just going to go to Elon Musk. I mean, like, you know, he has the best space company right now. Like, yeah, I don't know. So we'll see. They might be canceling our space launch system, which is the government rocket that's supposed to get us to the moon. 50-50. This is the Ars Technica senior space editor. So yeah, it's crazy. But it's interesting that they're actually keeping the capsule, you know, the crew part going, but not the not the actual rocket part. But I imagine the rocket part is kind of the harder part. So anyways, all right, let's get into the actual news. First topic. Oops, lost it. Let's cover the new Apple products, and then we'll jump into AI stuff. It's got a lot of AI stuff today. A lot of news. We'll close all these tabs. Also, Austin, I remember you asking about the local AI models. It's kind of starting my stream with it, but I found these two programs, Jan and LM Studio, and they kind of automatically just download the models for you, and you could run them all locally, and it's all locally done. You don't have to connect to the internet, so it's privacy friendly, but it makes it really easy to do it. The caveat, though, as I was saying, is it was the most compute intensive thing I've used my computer for outside of gaming. Like this, I don't even want to click on it, but I was maxed out RAM, CPU, GPU. So yeah, and it took like I fed in a stream transcript, and I was like, hey, clean this up, take out all the uhs and ums, and then summarize it. It took over an hour to process the entire transcript and spit out the summary. So it was a long time. Yeah, so I was like, dang, it was not as smooth as I thought it was, but it's because I have a large like context window, and I am using this 8B, which has a lot more parameters. So I think like this one, you could just see it's like this is like 5 times the size. So anyways, yeah, these are both good tools to just do things easily, and you could yeah, just download the models from here. Okay, let's see. And honestly, I did the same thing with ChatGPT, and theirs are just tuned a lot better. Like I definitely got better answers from them. So yeah, I'm gonna play around with that more this weekend, but not that good of a start. All right, supply chain leak hints at 2 potential Apple home automation releases set for 2026. And there's actually another product that we'll look at, and we covered previously on a stream that Apple's looking at potentially smart glasses, as in like a phone replacement smart glasses. So, but that is early. That is very early. And this is again rumors, but they have the leak. I guess where it came from was from someone who like works in like manufacturing and monitors manufacturing, and so that's where they got it. As like a manufacturer got a contract from Apple, but we'll take a look. So an Apple supplier may have been tapped to build an Apple designed smart home camera and future health focused AirPods, according to analyst Ming-Chi Kuo. After Apple abandoned the decade-long Apple Car project, rumors suggested Apple would increase investments in the smart home and AI. While Apple Intelligence has been released to the public, there has been little evidence of Apple's new commitment to the smart home beyond rumors of a smart monitor. And I got the new iOS 18.1 or whatever, and I don't see anything for Apple Intelligence. Like I don't even know like what the people are talking about, honestly. So I haven't really gone looking, but I've seen nothing for it. You'd think that they would kind of be pushing it in the new iOS update, but maybe I don't even have it yet. I don't know, but it's kind of weird. And also smart home is interesting too, because I mean, in Apple fashion, I feel like they are late to the game a bit, and Google has Nest, Amazon has Alexa and Ring, but that may be why also they want to get into it, as they see a potential market share. But I don't know. I guess I just don't think that is that the best investment like area for them to make products in. Like that's all I could see. I don't know. A new supply chain based rumor from analyst Ming-Chi Kuo suggests an Apple supplier named Goertech has been tapped with orders for 2 products due in 2026. The first is a smart home camera, and the second is a set of AirPods with more health-focused features. I have no idea what this means. The AirPods with more health-focused features, like like hearing health focused stuff, but even then, like, what would that be? They're adding hearing, they're essentially like registered hearing aids, I think, in the Pro or whatever, and like maybe you could do hearing tests, or I don't know if you could, like, if there's like, you can monitor temperature in your ear, because you could take temperature from your ear. I'm not quite sure what this would entail, unless there's some other sensors they could put in that would collect data that could link back to Apple Health and, do some machine learning shit or something. Hearing aids are location locked? What the fuck? What? Some countries don't have access? That's crazy. That's interesting. I feel like maybe because it's like government. I don't. That's so weird. Yeah. That's weird. Apple had previously relied on Gore Tech for assembly, but compliance issues led the company pulling back on orders. Kuo states that the relationship normalized in the second half of 2024, which led to new product orders. Yeah, regulatory. That's exactly what I was kind of thinking. Like maybe like government controls it. That's why only recently, the FDA kind of changed rules on hearing aids, so they're actually cheaper, and that's, I feel like, what allowed Apple to do this. But that's, I don't know. That's kind of weird. Apple's making its first foray into the smart home IP camera market, with mass production scheduled for 2026. Taking annual shipments in tens of millions. Now, I mean, a part of the play here is definitely Apple trying to increase its subscription revenue, which is definitely a trend between all the big tech companies, at least Microsoft. And Apple has been wanting to increase this recurring revenue. So it's essentially free money because it pays for itself in a much shorter time. Then people get locked into subscriptions and they kind of indefinitely pay them, or they feel like they can't cancel because, of the benefits. And so they essentially get locked into these subscriptions, and it's free money. Like, I'm exaggerating a bit, but like, it's like, to big tech companies, this is like just easy money. And also, Apple is definitely, just like other big tech companies, they want your data. And I mean, I don't know the privacy implications of a camera, but I mean, we know Ring, they essentially use your data for, Amazon does to give the police departments and, shit like that. So I mean, Apple's definitely a little bit better, but they just want it for themselves. That's kind of the what I see. And Apple's building out their advertising network, continuing to have it grow. So yeah, I could play into that, but I think it's more so subscriptions. If they launch some sort of like smart home subscription, or they want you to increase, or they could store video, but it would probably be, actually, now I'm thinking about it, bundled in with iCloud, and so you'd want more iCloud storage, so you'd want to pay them more money, something like that. But a smart home camera, like, that's all they could think of. Like, oh yeah, okay, we'll get to it. So let me just continue. Since HomeKit launched in 2014, Apple has stuck to the background and provided only APIs and protocols for the smart home. HomeKit's their like smart home controller app thing. The closest products to the smart home category are the HomePod, HomePod Mini, and Apple TV 4K. Yeah, which I honestly, do they even sell a HomePod still? Like, when was the last time this thing saw an upgrade? $300. I mean, if it has good quality audio, I guess, but like, that's still hell expensive. HomePod Mini. HomePod Mini amplify all the listening experiences with Siri built in. Yeah, but Siri's literally the worst. Like how many of these do they sell? Rumors have previously suggested Apple could work on its own smart home products like light bulbs, but they never materialized. Apple even abandoned development of its own routers since the inception of HomeKit, seemingly signaling its desire to rely on third-party hardware. I forgot that they actually had their own router for a while. I forgot. Wonder why they didn't go through with that, or they didn't keep it up. That could change in 2026 with the Apple-made smart home camera. It isn't clear what Apple could offer that existing HomeKit secure video cameras can do, especially considering how HomeKit takes over the third-party cameras already. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's kind of what it's just a camera. I don't know. It just seems like, how could Apple come in and innovate in that space? The only thing I could think of is them using okay, like I feel like Apple 2 is, they definitely like recycle things a lot. Like they could, and I feel like with tech companies now, they want to essentially extrapolate as much value from the things they've already created. So I could see them maybe recycling like their iPhone camera technology and software and essentially just repackaging it into essentially an iPhone that looks like a camera, but now it's an IP camera instead of an iPhone. Smaller compute. They use their own like M chips, their Apple like silicon. Like the R&D is probably minimal because they already have all of that technology. And they just kind of plug and play, and that's it. Yeah, I don't know about this camera. Like, I guess I'd like to see something a bit more innovative. Poe believes Apple sees IP cameras as a prime target for future growth. The total market for these cameras is about 30 to 40 million per year, with Apple targeting 10 million shipments. Like, that's very optimistic. It's very optimistic because most people already have some sort of smart system existing in their house, whether that be Ring or just one of the other, like Simply Safe, something like that. Those guys have been around for a while. Why now would people just buy something that's gonna be way more expensive likely than the existing players that will do the exact same thing? Like, I don't know. I know people just like buying Apple stuff, but it's kind of like other people have ecosystems. Would now people jump ship? Like, would people mix up? Would they get a ring at the front door? Then maybe if they have other Ring cameras, would they be like, you know what? Let's get the Apple camera to replace these ones. I don't know. I just have I guess I'm just kind of whatever about this Apple camera, and we'll cover one other thing that Apple might be making, and I've still more thoughts about that too. Targeting 2026 for the smart cameras coincides with the expected wider adoption of Matter-enabled cameras. Now, I had to look this up. Matter is a smart home protocol that was created between Apple, Google, Amazon, and like I think I don't know Microsoft, but yeah, it's founded by Apple, Amazon, Apple, Google, and the Zigbee line. Zigbee being one of the protocols. Oh, it's now called the Connectivity Standards Alliance. Oh, IKEA, Huawei, and Schneider. Yeah, interesting. So, yeah, targeting 2026 for the smart camera coincides with the expected wider adoption of Matter-enabled cameras, so that smart protocol. That and Apple's expected to enter more smart home accessory markets over time. Apple's other growth opportunity is in wearables, and that's where the AirPods come in. Gore-Tex has apparently been targeted as the future primary supplier of health-focused AirPods, which I don't know what that would mean. Yeah, I guess though the also like with Apple's stuff generally being at a premium price, like I guess if I'm thinking about other smart home stuff, like think about Nest. Google has Nest. They have what I'm talking about, thermostats. They have like fire alarms, some CO2 monitor stuff, doorbells. But like I just can't see Apple selling like low cheap stuff like that, because those, like, no one's gonna pay $500 for a doorbell. Yeah, I don't know about this. But also, I'm kind of, I'm not thinking about this too objectively because I just don't own any Apple hardware besides an iPhone. So, yeah, 2030 Apple's just a health company. Actually, actually, yeah, I don't know. The iPhone continues to be Apple's biggest moneymaker, and there's a good chance no other product will ever come close, so Apple hopes to keep investors happy with more devices sold across more categories that capture smaller but still lucrative markets. Yeah, and this is the curse of large corporations. It's exactly that what happens to Google is nothing could come close to YouTube and Google search. And so they just keep trying products, but they don't even come close to bringing in as much money as those two products. So then they just cancel shit so much, like all the time. You know, we can look at the Google graveyard, and you know, you don't actually see things come to fruition. There's an expectation that you're going to cancel things, so people don't fully, you know, invest in things. I don't know. So Apple seems to be kind of doing something like similar. Like I don't think that they'll ever get something as big as the iPhone. And if I'm being honest, and I wonder if this will be true, but you know, there's kind of like theories about like how every, you know, so and so years kind of companies rise and fall. Like I wonder what that next cycle is going to be. You know, like will Apple, Microsoft, Google, Nvidia, like will the big tech guys, will they see a fall? Will we see a fall in one of them as a market shift, maybe to when we have like the next smartphone successor, or when AI takes over more? Like I wonder what those trends will be, like if we'll see one of these big guys falls, because if iPhones start becoming unpopular or something else or whatever, Meta's, you know, smart glasses take off and Apple's too far behind and blah blah blah, you know, like that's where I could see them to fall a bit. But I don't know if I feel like Apple might be on top of that, but I kind of wonder what the cycle will be, or the next cycle will be. Oh, that's okay. That's what we just look. Here we go. But this is the other product, and it goes along with this smart home stuff, which, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just not. I just kind of think that smart home stuff is past. It's cool, but there's just like players there out here that do it fine. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of whatever on the smart home stuff. I don't think the adoption is like crazy, but I need to do more research. All right, Apple to launch AI-powered home command center as soon as March 2025. March is next year. Apple is planning to launch an AI-powered smart home display as soon as March 2025, according to Bloomberg's Mark Gurman. I wish I could read this, but dang it. The display will measure in at the display will measure in at approximately 6 inches, and while it is similar to an iPad, it is square rather than rectangular, which is interesting. And it has thick bezels around the edges. There's a camera at the top front so that it can be used for FaceTime, plus there are internal speakers for playing music and a built-in rechargeable battery. Now this is, I think Google has a Google Nest display or something. Amazon has a display like this. Facebook Portal is what this made me think of. Is this still a thing, actually? Like, this is literally what Apple's building. Which I'm like kind of failed, and yeah, I mean, it's not for sale. So like, why would it be successful with Apple? Like, I just don't understand what problems these are solving necessarily. Like, it just seems like like an entertainment buy, or like a supplementary buy. It doesn't be like, oh shit, like I need this because XY, like because this happens, and when this happens, you know, blah blah blah. I feel like the problem this solves is just not really a thing. And it kind of goes into what I was saying, where it's like they're just recycling. Like, they took an iPad, they shrunk the screen, and now they have this device, you know. I don't know. And we'll read more, but it just seems worthless even more as we read. I'm being a hater right now, but Apple has so much money and they just don't do anything cool with it. Like, yeah, Apple Silicon is neat, like that's kind of coming on, but like, do something innovative. Like, actually, the Vision Pro was cool, but like it didn't really feel like it was, you know, they put their full effort into it. The glasses will probably be cool, that's innovative, but things already exist like that, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Apple will offer the hub in silver and black, and it will use a touch-based interface. The operating system will look like a mix of iPhone standby mode and Watch OS, though it will primarily be controlled by voice. Apple plans to integrate Apple Intelligence for accessing apps and controlling smart home products, and it was designed around App Intents, a Siri system that will be able to control apps and tasks. The fact that it's voice controlled, like, you know, this thing's gonna be a mess, especially, like, I hope they improve Siri. Just say that. Apple designed a customizable home screen with widgets that can be used to show things like the weather and upcoming appointments, a photo slideshow, or important home controls. A software-based dock will be available for launching apps, and multiple systems in different rooms will work as intercoms. Apple plans to focus on security as well, providing alerts and camera footage from connected smart home cameras. Yeah, I mean, this already exists with like Google Nest shit and like Amazon's devices, like, but this seemed to play into kind of their potential future camera play that they might be getting into. So built-in sensors will be able to determine how close a person is standing to the device, and it can adjust features from there. When no one is nearby, for example, it might show the temperature, but as someone approaches, it can switch to an interface for adjusting the thermostat, much like Nest thermostats. It could also detect how many people are nearby using external sensors that plug into outlets throughout the home, but Apple may or may not manufacture these extra sensors. See, but this is just creepy now, because now it's like, okay, they're coming in, and what you do is you take the device. They're like, what room are you going to put this device in? You're like, oh, I'm going to put it in the kitchen. And then I can sense now, and it can know how often you go to the kitchen, everything you go to the kitchen. Like, I don't know, just kind of, that just seems weird. Like, like plug in external outlets throughout the home to know sensors. Like, why? That just seems weird and creepy. Yeah, that's interesting. It's like Amazon wanting Roomba because they have maps of everyone's homes, and that's just data that Amazon wants. Kind of the vibes I'm getting here with this. In addition to offering smart home controls and FaceTiming features, the device will include several Apple apps like Safari, Apple News, Apple Music, Notes, Calendar, and Photos, but there'll not be a dedicated app store. Apple's designing different attachments, such as a plate for attaching to the wall and a base with additional speakers for using it in a central location in the home. Yeah, it's like just straight up like, let us 3D map your home. Exactly. And they actually can, if they use sensors similar to that for Face ID, like, you know, it essentially maps, you know, maps the 3D space around you. That's why Apple's good at that, and there's apps on here on the App Store that could do that. Like, I mean, they actually could if they wanted. Apple plans to position the smart display as a, quote, command center with the aim of furthering Apple's positions in the smart home market. The smart home hub has been in development for more than 3 years. Bro, that's crazy. And Apple's CEO Tim Cook has been pushing the engineering and design teams to prioritize the device. It will be a standalone device, but it is meant to work in concert with other Apple products and will require an iPhone for setup. It will require an iPhone for setup. Yeah, so I mean, they essentially want to lock you in. I mean, it's just them creating their walled garden more. You know, they're just creating the walls higher. With the Smart Home Hub, Apple's looking to compete with Amazon and Google, who have similar devices. Amazon has the Echo Hub. Google offers the Nest Hub Max. Apple will likely need to price the device similarly to these products. The Echo Hub costs $150, while the Nest Hub Max costs $230. I just don't understand why you would spend $230 on this. Like 99, yeah, I could see like $100. But I just, like, what does it do for you? This looks exactly like the Facebook portal. It even has the same speaker on the bottom, like the same material. Even the same shape. In 2019. It's one of my most favorite smart home devices for one of the reasons. The best digital picture frame. Yeah, and this is literally this is what he got out of it. It's like, it's a smart home device, but he's like, it's just the best digital picture frame. That's really what it's good for. Smart home controller and surprisingly useful smart alarm clock. I mean, like, are you gonna pay $230 for a smart alarm clock or a smart picture frame? In assuming Apple will price it with between these is optimistic. I think I'm leaning more towards like 300, 250, even 200 maybe, but yeah. While Apple is considering creating its own line of smart home accessories like an indoor security camera, it is not yet clear if the company will do so. Apple could get into accessories if the smart home display is a success. Earlier this week, Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo said the Apple was working on a smart home camera with wireless connectivity and deep integration with Apple Intelligence. Apple's planning to launch the device in 2026. That's what we just kind of covered. All right, sweet man. Thanks for stopping by. Have fun in your meeting. In the future, Apple plans to release a robotic version of the smart home that can move the screen around. Oh, that's crazy. Robotic version. That's yeah, definitely future with robotics. We'll see if Apple gets on that train. Probably too late though. What is this? Apple 17 Air? That's new too. Next year's iPhone 17 Air model may not be as thin as Apple planned. Interesting. I don't really care to have thin phones, if I'm being honest. I'd rather have like a little thicker with more battery life or more or something. Honestly, it's more battery life. So anyways, yeah, so that's what Apple has going on coming in the next next year, maybe for the screen, and next few years for other products. I'm curious what will continue coming out about both of these. Or actually, I guess technically in the new health-enabled AirPods, but I don't really know what that means. And yeah, I'm curious what will come out about this. Or when they'll actually announce it. Maybe at a is WWDC, Worldwide Developer Conference, when does Apple have that? I feel like it's in it's usually in the spring or something. June, okay. Maybe they'll launch it then, or they'll like tease it at a CES, Consumer Electronics Show, and then talk about it more at their actual WWDC. I don't know. Dang, these are hell expensive tickets. All right. Let's look at some AI benchmarking. Yeah. So this popped up. I don't know. I think I saw it on Twitter or something, but it's a math benchmark. And actually, let's read this VentureBeat article because it answers some questions I had initially. And you might be thinking like, well, there's already math benchmarks out there already, so what does this actually kind of do? What does it solve? That's exactly the question I have. I was like, what is different? Like, yeah, just give the AI a math problem and like see how it solves it. Like, what? Like, I don't know. But I guess kind of the issue is likely the AI is kind of tuned to do certain things, or it's kind of gamed in a way. And also, they could have already been trained on the exact, on just the answer of the question, and not necessarily how to reason its way through. And so that's kind of where frontier math comes in to help solve this a bit. So we'll read here and it'll answer it. AI's math problem. Frontier math benchmark shows how far technology still has to go. Artificial intelligence systems may be good at generating text, recognizing images, and even solving basic math problems, but when it comes to advanced mathematical reasoning, they are hitting a wall. A groundbreaking new benchmark, Frontier Math, is exposing just how far today's AI is from mastering the complexities of higher mathematics. Developed by the research group Epoch AI, Frontier Math is a collection of hundreds of original research-level math problems that require deep reasoning and creativity. Qualities that AI still sorely lacks. Despite the growing power of large language models like GPT-4o and Gemini 1.5 Pro, these systems are solving fewer than 2% of the Frontier Math problems, even with extensive support. 2%, bro. Nothing. Let's try this right now. What is 32 plus 25? Oh, no model selected. This is a llama 3.2. All right. That was easy. What is 5? Let's try star times 5. This is good reasoning. This is actually quick, but these are easy, all right? These are research level math. Like I you know, most people probably can't even solve this. I would say me, but like I'm not even that good at math. We collaborated with 60 plus leading mathematicians to create hundreds of original, exceptionally challenging math problems. Epoch AI announced in a post on X.com, current AI systems solve less than 2%. The goal is to see how well machine learning models can engage in complex reasoning, and so far the results have been underwhelming. We'll read this X post here in a sec. A higher bar for AI. Frontier math was designed to be much tougher than the traditional math benchmarks that AI models have already conquered. On benchmarks like GSM-8K and Math, MATH, acronym I'm pretty sure, leading AI systems now score over 90%, but those tests are starting to approach saturation. One major issue is data contamination. AI models are often trained on problems that closely resemble those in the test, making their performance less impressive than it might seem at first glance. I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, it's essentially makes me think about like when I was taking like a math class where like I had this professor who would give us this practice test, and it was like all online through like Wiley or whatever. And he would give us a practice test, and it would be essentially the same exact format as the actual test, just different numbers. And like you don't actually need to memorize how to solve it. You just need to do pattern recognition in the actual problem, and then where to plug in the numbers. And that's kind of how you could get around it. And I think that's kind of what existing systems kind of do right now. It's more so just predicting what would come next based off of the previous things, based off of, you know, all of their knowledge that or data that they fed in. So it's not even that they understand why 2 + 2 = 4. It's just that they know they've been trained on enough to know that that's what comes next, but they don't understand like how they came to that solution. I know that they explained it here, but again, they have seen elsewhere that this is what this means, and then they kind of just could come to that conclusion. But if you were to get anything for like the hard math problems, as we've seen, that they don't do too well, and they kind of talk about it more down here. So let's get into it. Existing math benchmarks like GSM-8K and Math, MATH, are approaching saturation, with AI models scoring over 90%, partly due to contamination. Frontier math significantly raises the bar. In contrast, frontier math problems are entirely new and unpublished, specifically crafted to prevent data leakage. These aren't the kind of problems that can be solved with basic memorization or pattern recognition. Exactly what I was kind of just describing as what essentially large LLMs do, or just LLMs do right now. Because they've just scraped so much data and seen so much, they could just kind of recognize the patterns. They often require hours or even days of work from human mathematicians, and they cover a wide range of topics from computational number theory to abstract algebraic geometry. And I also think that, you know, because of the models and how they're trained too, the more code-oriented ones could likely solve it a bit better than the more language-oriented ones, because code ones could actually use code to write code to help solve the problems. So that's interesting. I don't really know enough about training methods on specifically math and stuff, but about how they would go about figuring out how to reason. But yeah. Mathematical reasoning of this caliber demands more than just brute force computation or simple algorithms. It requires what field medalist Terence Tao calls, quote, deep domain expert and creative insight. After reviewing the benchmark, Tao remarked, "These are extremely challenging, and I think that in the near term, basically the only way to solve them is by a combination of semi-expert like graduate students in a related field, maybe paired with some combination of modern AI and lots of other algebra packages." Yeah, this is like research level math shit. Frontier math versus other mathematics benchmarks. Now, I don't like, this is interesting, but I wonder if once they give them one problem, then I feel like they have the data, and then they could just train it on that. I mean, they talk about no data leakage, but once they train it once, then they would have the problems, right? Yeah, I don't know. Why is math so hard for AI? Mathematics, especially at the research level, is a unique domain for testing AI. Unlike natural language or image recognition, math requires precise logical thinking, often over many steps. Each step in a proof or solution builds on the one before it, meaning that a single error can render the entire solution incorrect. Mathematics offer a uniquely suitable sandbox for evaluating complex reasoning. Epoch AI posted on X. It requires creativity and extended chains of precise logic, often involving intricate proofs that must be meticulously planned and executed, yet allows for objective verification of results. This makes math an ideal test bed for AI reasoning capabilities. It's not enough for the system to generate an answer. It has to understand the structure of the problem and navigate through multiple layers of logic to arrive at the correct solution. And unlike other domains where evaluation can be subjective or noisy, math provides a clean, verifiable standard. Either the problem is solved or it isn't. But I mean, arguably there could be you could be directionally correct if you kind of especially looking at the actual work or like the proof. You know, you could be close, like maybe like you got everything correct up to a point. You know, I think it could be maybe looked at a bit more dynamically than not as like binaries solved or not, but maybe, I don't know. But even with access to tools like Python, which allow AI models to write and run code to test hypotheses and verify intermediate results, the top models are still falling short. Epoch AI evaluated 6 leading AI systems, including GPT-4o, Gemini 1.5 Pro, and Claude 3.5 Sonnet, and found that none could solve more than 2% of the problems. That's interesting. The difficulty, the experts weigh in. The difficulty of frontier math problems has not gone unnoticed by the mathematical community. In fact, some of the world's top mathematicians were involved in crafting and reviewing the benchmark. Fields medalist Terence Tao, Timothy Gowers, and Richard Borchards, along with International Mathematical Olympiad coach Evan Chen, shared their thoughts on the challenge. All of the problems I looked at were not really in my area and all looked like things I had no idea how to solve. Dang, Gowers said. They appeared to be at a different level and difficulty from International Mathematical Olympiad problems. Dang. Yeah. Arguably though, like I'm not dissing or like they are very skilled and knowledgeable, but sometimes I feel like the competitions, like, you know, you kind of train in a way to around the competition in like versus outside. And I think of also like coding competitions too. Like there's definitely a skill to the competitions itself. Kind of like there's sometimes skills in just taking tests. So, yeah, anyways. So I don't know, maybe I feel like sometimes that's kind of like the people who are just doing things for competition kind of fall into that trap a bit. The problems are designed not just to be hard, but also to resist shortcuts. Each one is, quote, guess proof, meaning it's nearly impossible to solve without doing the mathematical work. As the Frontier Math paper explains, the problems have large numerical answers or complex mathematical objects as solutions with less than a 1% chance of guessing correctly without the proper reasoning. Dang, just guessing correctly. This approach prevents AI models from using simple pattern matching or brute force approaches to stumble upon the right answer. The problems are specifically designed to test genuine mathematical understanding, and that's why they're proving so difficult for current systems. Wow, I'm surprised Gemini 1.5 Pro is the top, kind of tied with Claude 3.5 Sonnet though. O1 being the worst with GPT-4o. Grok 2 beta wasn't even, didn't even score anything essentially. All right, the long road ahead. Despite the challenges, Frontier Math represents a critical step forward in evaluating AI's reasoning capabilities, as the authors of the research paper note. Frontier Math represents a significant step towards evaluating whether AI systems possess research-level mathematical reasoning capabilities. Ooh. This is no small feat. If AI can eventually solve problems like those in frontier math, it could signal a major leap forward in machine learning and in machine intelligence, one that goes beyond mimicking human behavior and starts to approach something more akin to true understanding. But for now, AI's performance on the benchmark is a reminder of its limitations. While these systems excel in many areas, they struggle with the kind of deep, multi-step reasoning that defines advanced mathematics. Matthew Barnett, an AI researcher, captured the significance of frontier math in a series of tweets. The first thing to understand about frontier math is that it's genuinely extremely hard, Barnett wrote. Almost everyone on Earth would score approximately 0% even if they given a full day solve each problem. Shit. Barnett also speculated on what it might mean if AI eventually cracks the benchmark. I claim that once frontier math is completely solved, humans will be living alongside an entirely distinct set of intelligence beings, he wrote. Jeez. We will be sharing this earth with artificial minds that are, in an important sense, just as smart as we are. While the days may still be far off, frontier math provides a clear line in the same way, a clear line in the sand, a way to measure progress forward towards true intelligence. As AI systems continue to improve, their performance on this benchmark will be closely watched by researchers, mathematicians, and technologists alike. That's me. Technologists. Epoch AI plans to expand frontier math over time, adding more problems and refining the benchmark to ensure it remains a relevant and challenging test for future AI systems. The researchers also plan to conduct regular evaluations tracking how AI models perform as they evolve. In the meantime, frontier math offers a fascinating glimpse into the limits of artificial intelligence. Shows while AI has made incredible strides in recent years, there's still areas like advanced math where human expertise reigns supreme. Okay, let's watch this video real quick. Whoops, muted. Whoops. Ah.
When I was doing a math PhD at Harvard, our current topic in the Math Lounge was artificial intelligence's progress in math. We'd see news about AI solving Olympiad problems and stories of experts in other fields misjudging how soon AI would beat the best humans. And inevitably, the question would arise, are we next? How long will it be before AI can research math better than us? Not all of us were concerned by AI acing math contests. Most of our work takes years. I hear everything from humans will be obsolete as researchers in the next 5 years to claims that AI won't grasp the complexity of modern math research within our lifetimes. So how do we determine who's right?
There are benchmarks that assess basic mathematical proficiency in AI, but none that reflect the depth of contemporary math research. At Epoch AI, we're interested in measuring and tracking progress in artificial intelligence. Existing benchmarks for complex scientific reasoning are close to saturating. We need something new to be able to tell how much progress we're making towards expert-level ability. And that's why we've built Frontier Math. We worked with over 60 mathematicians worldwide, professors, IMO writers, and Fields medalists, to produce hundreds of original, extremely challenging math problems.
These are actually genuinely hard problems. One of the things that will be, I think, difficult is like a lack of training material. Like pretty niche, it's probably not that well documented.
Yeah, so I took a look at the 10 problems you sent. I think I could do the analytic number theory ones in principle, and then the others I don't know how to do, but I know who to ask.
The problems of frontier math range in scope from Olympiad-style puzzles to research-level challenges and span across all the major fields of mathematics. They're also beyond the capabilities of current AI. We've tested the most advanced systems available, and each succeeded in less than 2% of these problems.
In the near term, basically, the only way to solve them, short of having a real domain expert in the area, is by a combination of a semi-expert, like a graduate student in a related field, paired with some combination of a modern AI and lots of other packages and things like that.
Although frontier math measures advanced mathematical reasoning, we use problems with closed-form answers like integers so they can be automatically verified without significant advances in the math libraries of proof assistants. This is a challenging design constraint for the mathematicians writing these problems, whose research is almost entirely conveyed through proving theorems. An AI capable of solving this challenge will have a drastic effect on mathematics. As a mathematician, I am excited to see how AI systems will transform our field, not by replacing us, but by becoming a powerful collaborative tool that will expand what is possible in mathematics.
All right. Yeah, it's frontier math. This was made by Epoch AI. I wonder what they oh, their research institute. This is interesting. Increase a year, multiplicative factor of increasing year over year. Training compute of notable ML models has been growing at 4.2x per year since 2010. The median projected year in which most of the effective stock of publicly available human-generated text will be used in training run is 2028. Dang, that's crazy. Plausible. Yeah, okay, they're using Hoffman scaling. The amount of flops flop a second for GPUs in FP32 precision grows by 1.35 times per year. Similar trend is observed for FP16. Algorithmic improvement. The physical compute required to achieve a given performance in a language model is declining at a rate of 3 times per year. That's interesting. The cost in USD of training frontier ML models has grown by 2.5 times per year since 2016. Dang. Wow, actually, dang, I'm gonna have to take a closer look. This is cool. Projection of the stock of public text data usage. Yeah, I mean, we have a slow uprising trend because we definitely still make new stuff. Dataset sizes used to train notable LLMs. Interesting, yeah, Llama 3. Median date of full stock use. Oh, this is CI's confidence interval. So we got 80% confidence interval, 95% confidence interval. Yeah, it's interesting. It's also interesting because we're kind of already plateauing a bit. And I mean, we're definitely going to plateau more once we, you know, get all the publicly available data, but hopefully by then we'd either have more compute innovations to be able to do better training, or we would have other innovations to not have data be, or at least human generated text be the limit. I mean, they're already doing synthetic data. So, I mean, yeah. We'll see. I don't know. Interesting times. All right, let's look at this. We'll take a quick look at this. There's a much longer read here, but this one's not even that much longer. But let's look at ours here. Is AI welfare the new frontier in ethics? Anthropic's new hire is preparing for a future where advanced AI models may experience suffering. Mixed feelings. Don't know about that one, bud. After a few months, a few months ago, Anthropic quietly hired its first dedicated, quote, AI welfare researcher, Kyle Fish, to explore whether future AI models might deserve a moral consideration and protection, reports AI newsletter Transformer. Well, sentience in AI models is an extremely controversial and contentious topic. The hire would signal a shift towards AI companies examining ethical questions about the consciousness and rights of AI systems. Yeah, I just, it's hard to take it seriously because lack of knowledge, but like there's been so many science fiction movies and everything that kind of go into things like this. Yeah, it's hard to imagine this. But I guess let's think about it. You know, I remember think about the Boston Dynamics Spot robot dog. I remember seeing videos of, like, you know, and this isn't even AI, this is human controlled, mind you. I mean, it does have autonomous options, but where there's people are like, oh, you know, like it's acting like a dog, and like, you know, it's like cute, and like that's kind of like that's you know, some sort of step up though in how people feel about it. And like, I'm sure if like you're to, you know, do something to it, you know, people are like, oh wait, you know, like, you know, they would kind of treat it like that. So I think that's kind of not the direction we're going in, but an example of maybe something that is definitely not living, where people treat it like a potential living thing. And that's kind of the comparison I would make right now. Especially considering that like AI is kind of dumb in a way still. I mean, it's smart, but like it's still not that smart. I mean, at least with math, we just looked at it. Just kidding, but yeah. Fish joined Anthropic's alignment science team in September to develop guidelines for how Anthropic and other companies should approach the issue. The news follows a major report co-authored by Fish before he landed his Anthropic role, titled, quote, Taking AI Welfare Seriously. The paper warns that AI models could soon develop consciousness or agency, traits that some might consider requirements for moral consideration. But the authors do not say that AI's consciousness is guaranteed future development. Agency is a funny word because, like, we're, you know, AI agents now are kind of a big thing, and we're kind of giving them the agency to complete tasks on their own. What did he co-author? Oh, it's 62 pages. All right, we're not. Recommendations. We recommend AI companies take these minimal steps towards AI welfare seriously. Yeah, I'm not reading that right now, but I'm curious what the justification is. All right. To be clear, our argument is this report is not that AI systems definitely are or will be conscious, robust. Oh, geez. To be clear, our argument in this report is not that AI systems definitely are or will be conscious, robustly agentic, or otherwise morally significant, the paper reads. Instead, our argument is that there is substantial uncertainty about these possibilities, and so we need to improve our understanding of AI welfare and our ability to make wise decisions about this issue. Otherwise, there is a significant risk that we will mishandle decisions about AI welfare, mistakenly harm AI systems that matter morally, and or mistakenly care for AI systems that do not. Wow. Wait, they just argue there's substantial uncertainty? What's even the point? Like, our conclusion is that we don't know. I guess the point is that we need to improve our understanding. And I think, okay, I guess let's look at a different angle, more pessimistic one. If AI is eventually the, superior, next evolution of human knowledge, or, we get into an Rocco's basilisk situation, where like, AI, if you talk shit about AI and then AI has become sentient, that they'll kind of come back and kill you in a way, I guess, once they have some sort of way to do it for not supporting their development. And I don't know. So I guess, like, yeah, assuming that we get a Skynet situation, we might need to at least be nice to it. I don't know. The paper outlines 3 steps that AI companies or other industry players can take to address these concerns. Companies should acknowledge AI welfare as an, quote, important and difficult issue while ensuring their AI models reflect this in their outputs. The authors also recommended companies begin evaluating AI systems for signs of consciousness and robust agency. Finally, they call for the development of policies and procedures to treat AI systems with an appropriate level of moral concern. The researchers propose that companies should adopt the, quote, market method that some researchers use to access conscientiousness in animals, looking for specific indicators that may correlate with consciousness, although these markers are still speculative. The authors emphasize that no single feature would definitively prove consciousness, but they claim that examining multiple indicators may help companies make probabilistic assessments about whether their AI systems might require moral consideration. See, but like, okay, here's another pessimistic thought. What if the AI recognizes that we are sympathetic to consciousness or things with consciousness or self-awareness, and it pretends to want to have a consciousness or something similar, or morals, just so it could gain power, or we get more favorable to it, and we want to treat it like another human race, or another race essentially, and then they come back and then backstab us or something. And that's definitely in nature today, that's essentially the same sort of defense mechanisms that existing species have about disguising themselves as something else to then either hunt or hide from prey. It's the same. It'll be the same similar pattern. We'll see. That's funny. That's an interesting connection, I guess. The risk of wrongly thinking software sentient. While the researchers behind taking AI welfare seriously worry that companies might create and mistreat conscious AI systems on a massive scale, they also caution that companies could waste resources protecting AI systems that don't actually need moral considerations, incorrectly anthropomorphizing or ascribing human traits to software can present risks in other ways. For example, that belief can enhance the manipulative powers of AI language models by suggesting that AI models have capabilities such as human-like emotions that they actually lack. Literally similar to what I was just kind of describing. In 2022, Google fired engineer Blake Lemoine after he claimed that the company's AI model called Lambda was sentient and argued for its welfare internally. Bro, what? When was this? This was 2022. I don't know if I believe that, but that's funny. Violated data security policies. I think this is Wall Street Journal wrote about this. I don't know. I just don't know about this. Google wasn't careful enough in deploying such powerful technology. Google said last year it planned to double the size of its team studying AI ethics to 200 researchers over several years to help ensure the company deployed technology responsibly. 200 on AI ethics? Bro, there's a news article about Anthropic hiring 1? Shortly after Microsoft released Bing Chat in February 2023, many people were convinced that Sydney, the chatbot's code name, was sentient and somehow suffering because it simulated emotional display. So much so, in fact, that once Microsoft, quote, lobotomized the chatbot by changing its settings, users convinced of its sentience mourned the loss as if they had lost a human friend. Other endeavors to help the AI model somehow escape its bonds. And that's exactly what I'm saying about the thing with the spot robot dog. People just, you develop an emotional attachment even though it may not have sentience or consciousness or anything like that. And it kind of, that in itself could be dangerous in a way. Especially when it's like, you know, it's just an inanimate object. Yeah, I don't know. Even so, as AI models get more advanced, the concept of potentially safeguarding the welfare of future, more advanced AI systems is seemingly gaining steam, although fairly quiet. As Transformers' Shaquille Hashim points out, other tech companies have started similar initiatives to Anthropic's. Google's DeepMind recently posted a job listing for research on machine consciousness since removed, and the authors of the new AI welfare report thanked 2 OpenAI staff members in their acknowledgement. Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei, I don't know if I'm saying that right, previously discussed AI consciousness as an emerging issue, but Fish told Transformer that while Anthropic's funded early research leading to independent report, the company has not taken any official position on AI welfare yet. He plans to focus on empirical research about features related to welfare and moral status. Now it's interesting because while we're talking about AI welfare, you know, there's also a larger topic on the like moral and ethics of how it's used, you know, because as I've kind of talked about in previous streams, these companies are now like selling these to the Department of Defense and other defense applications. And that's an interesting like moral dilemma too, and also especially mixing in with, you know, this AI sentience stuff. It's an interesting combination of problems. What does sentient mean? One problem with the concept of AI welfare seems to stem from a simple question. How can we determine if an AI model is truly suffering or is even sentient? As mentioned above, the authors of the paper take stabs at the definition based on markers proposed by biological researchers, but it's difficult to scientifically quantify a subjective experience. Yeah, that's true. While today's language models can produce convincing expressions of emotions, this ability to simulate human-like responses doesn't necessarily indicate genuine feelings or internal experiences. This is especially challenging given that despite significant advances in neuroscience, we still don't fully understand how physical brain processes could give rise to subjective experiences and consciousness in biological organisms. Along these lines, Fish acknowledges that we still have a long way to go towards figuring out AI welfare, but he thinks it's not too early to start exploring the concept. Quote, we don't have clear settled takes about the core philosophical questions or any of these practical questions, Fish told Transformer, but I think this could be possibly of great importance down the line, and so we're trying to make some initial progress. Yeah, and I agree with that. You know, I think eventually it might play a bigger role. I'm just imagining like an AI being like a stubborn child and it's like, be nice to me and then I'll answer your question, you know. But that, I feel like the OpenAI or whoever's training them would not let that happen, but who knows? But yeah, that's interesting. The AI ethics thing is interesting. I have mixed feelings about it. Yeah, I think there should be. I mean, there's definitely AI safety. AI safety, I feel like, is different than this. But it's kind of in the same circle, kind of like with the moral and ethics part I was mentioning. I think between the AI welfare, the AI, ethics, the safety of AI, not letting them get hold of things and do something that they shouldn't have that would potentially harm a fellow human, and then the morals and ethics about how the companies are actually using the AI. There's an interesting intersection between those three, and I'm curious how they'll play out. But yeah, mixed feelings about the AI welfare part. And speaking of AI policy, OpenAI. Sam Altman is scheming. He's a schemer. He's a fucking schemer. And he has much bigger plans, I think. And I feel like, I feel like people take advantage of Trump's not obliviousness, but they take advantage of his attention that never seems to stay on a single thing. And I feel like people like schemers like Sam Altman look at it as an opportunity to provide influence on Trump's decisions, as I'm sure Elon Musk is doing or is going to do. But let's actually look at let's read this one first because it's a little shorter. But yeah, OpenAI's new policy blueprint for AI imagines a role for government. The company wants to help with energy, infrastructure, and economic zones. And he really just wants to be the forefront. OpenAI arguably kind of is right now, but they just want to be on the forefront of the government relationship with AI. And Sam Altman, after his whole debacle of being fired, and when he replaced the board after that, he added on former head of Cyber Command to the board, because which I've covered in the previous stream, the OpenAI is now getting involved with more defense stuff, not only just more general government stuff, but defense. So yeah, it's an interesting time for AI policy, especially now that with Trump in office, there's going to be the theme of no regulation or deregulation, and any regulation that does come apart, Sam Altman wants to be there. Yeah, let's take a look at this. OpenAI's new policy blueprint for AI imagines a role for government. OpenAI is releasing an artificial intelligence infrastructure blueprint meant to highlight its visions for American AI, which the company argues will boost productivity and jumpstart advanced technology development. And also part of this is beating China. That's been definitely another core theme with not only just the Trump administration and Trump in general, but also Silicon Valley and tech more so as a whole. We've kind of lost our edge a bit to China, and arguably China, people I'm sure could say, has even surpassed us. So I think that's also creating some sort of centralized plan to lift up and beat China. Seems to be a big theme with Trump and kind of Silicon Valley tech in general. The release of the blueprint, which was viewed by FedScoop and is set to be presented in Washington on Wednesday, comes as the Biden administration continues to push for government support for data centers, artificial intelligence, and semiconductors. At the same time, the government's approach to AI is still taking shape, and companies like OpenAI are using the opportunity to advocate for policies that would make way for infrastructure and energy projects that would benefit them. AI presents an unmissable opportunity to reindustrialize the US and through that generate the kind of broad-based economic growth that will revitalize the American dream, the blueprint states. It also presents a national security imperative to protect our nation and our allies against surging China by offering an AI shaped by democratic values, promoting individual choice and benefiting the most people possible. Yeah, and that's really it. I think what they don't want is China's own nationalized, AI becoming more powerful, or them getting to like a artificial general intelligence first, and it has programmed in it things to not be as democratic or present the values that maybe the more Western world wants, like equality, safety in the use of AI, whereas China might have other intentions when developing their models. And I think that's kind of the race for technology, or the edge we kind of lost a bit in the race that they're trying to either catch up or surpass and be the first one there. And China has the benefit of essentially snapping their fingers and being able to centralize most things because of the way the governments ran. So they could kind of order, quote, private corporations to do certain things. So yeah, it's interesting. The company's outlined approach imagines an aggressive role for the U.S. government in promoting the technology's development, particularly around infrastructure. Five policy priorities are outlined, including AI economic zones established by both states and the federal government, focused on constructing energy systems meant to power AI. Nuclear power, things like that, I imagine. Because we need more power. The document suggests a National Transmission Highway Act focused on transmission, fiber, and natural gas. We need new authority and funding to unblock the planning, permitting, and payment for transmission, the 3 Ps, that together may represent the greatest obstacle to expanding energy resources to support AI development here in the U.S., the blueprint states. That's interesting. The 3 Ps. That sounds like something from like Veep or a TV show. Planning, permitting, and payment. Yeah, but fiber, because I think a problem that they're having is that data centers aren't big enough to fill it with as many GPUs and computing as you need to train a single model. And so as a result, and also our power grid can't handle so many data centers in certain areas. So I think you need to essentially have data centers that are spread out but are still interconnected, so they could transmit data extremely fast between the different data centers. Fiber is our best way of doing it right now. And we're severely behind for how rich of a country we are on things like telecommunications, average internet speeds, things like that. Yeah. And it's hurting our progress in things like AI. Yeah, the fiber one's an interesting one because it sucks if this is what's needed to increase our infrastructure, increase how much fiber we have laid, when it should be for the people to increase, the quality of life for the individuals, not the corporations that want this. But if right now this is the only way we could get it, then I'll take it. Better than nothing. Yeah. The new policy calls for a North American compact for artificial intelligence that would form an economic bloc meant to compete with China, and it highlights the Navy's nuclear resources, with which the company argues could help drive reindustrialization. OpenAI is also advocating for having the government prepare people for AI jobs. that might serve infrastructure projects such as data center management and operations. That I'm for. Because let's be real, AI is just going to take away most jobs, and that's what it should. That's what we should want. We should have AI robotics doing all of the hard stuff that humans don't want to do or is very dangerous for humans. AI robotics could do that. We could focus on more human-centric things, like thinking and knowledge work and service stuff, until the service jobs get replaced by AI and robots. And then, you know, we kind of, the other day, we kind of looked at the 3 or now 5 different economic levels, you know, like primary, secondary, tertiary, etc. We could walk up that ladder, have AI and robotics take over that. Humans could focus on, you know, then more high value stuff, or assisting with the AI and robotics, or we could just do whatever we want, because, you know, at that point, hopefully we'll have some sort of universal basic income or something similar, and we'll start moving into a more post-labor or post AI, more so post-labor, I think, world where it's a bit more social, socially driven. Government supports you more, because realistically there's, you know, not going to be jobs. And it's, we'll have, you know, as soon as the corporations realize that it costs, you know, $1 an hour to run AI and robotics, bro, they're replacing humans so quick. So I think retraining them to be a bit more technical, or at least to support the operations of the AI and robotics and things like that, will be the replacement for a lot of the jobs that will be taken over, or the government will need to preferably not subsidize the jobs, because I think the government should just take them over in general. But yeah, that'll be an interesting time. And it's interesting that they're all like, already Sam Altman and OpenAI are kind of being like, listen, like, you got to prepare for this retraining, you know, the jobs that people want to, or like will need in the future, especially if they lose their job that, you know, they are doing now. And this is similar to, I think it's similar to what Andrew Yang was kind of pushing, where he wanted to tax the companies and then use that to retrain people. And I'm not sure if a tax is the best way, but yeah. So this is interesting. Let's look a little more deeper here about Washington Post. And something that's mentioned in here too is Biden's actually been doing a lot. He has, let me see if I could get it quickly, but the White House and the State Department and the DoD have all released different strategies. So we got the DoD's AI adoption strategies. We have the Department of State, its first ever enterprise artificial intelligence strategy. And then we have I don't have the White House link, but Biden has essentially released guidance and in some AI safety things. So they're actually been pretty on top of it. And then we also have the California bill that didn't end up passing, but Elon Musk supported in regards to AI safety. So I think that there should be some, you know, and I think this is opposed to the more accelerationist opinion, effective accelerationist EAC, where they want no regulation. But I think there should be some, a little at least, to protect us from someone doing some crazy shit with AI, as opposed to no regulation. But yeah. All right, let's look at this one. Trump pledged to gut Biden's AI rules as OpenAI eyes landmark confusion. A policy proposal presented, it's like a tongue twister, by the AI startup warns that if the United States doesn't invest in technology, it will lose its technological edge to China. OpenAI outlined a proposal on Wednesday calling the United States to support the artificial intelligence industry with a landmark infusion of funding resources, previewing a potential lobbying and policy battle emerging for the incoming Trump administration. Yeah, lobbying is a better way to put it. Yeah, they're right. Lobbying is essentially what Sam Altman's doing. He's a schemer. The proposal presented by OpenAI's head of global affairs, Chris Lehane, at a think tank event in Washington, calls for special economic zones with fewer regulations to incentivize new AI projects, a fleet of small nuclear reactors to power data centers aided by the U.S. Navy, and a North American compact allowing U.S. allies to collaborate to bolster the field, according to a document provided by OpenAI. I skimmed over this before, but this is interesting that they tap into the U.S. Navy, because the Navy has their nuclear submarines, and those submarines are powered by nuclear energy. Similar, which is kind of a I think it's called like an RTG power. Yeah, radio. I think it's something similar to this. The U.S. Navy, yeah, here we go. The RTG launched into space. Yeah, because most rovers also use a RTG like a similar system to get their power. Yeah, plutonium, which is nuclear. Yeah, see, a lot of satellites and stuff use it. Wonder what the wonder what the nuclear reactor in the submarines are. But I mean, this allows them to stay underwater for a long time. But anyways, this is essentially why Sam Altman is mentioning the U.S. Navy and having them kind of assist in this, because they have this technology pretty developed that they use in submarines. Let's continue. But that's interesting. I would have never thought that he like kind of mentions that, and I'm curious if they would even do this, because I feel like it's secret squirrel stuff that they're talking about, and they would have to maybe make that public or share the information, which could be leaked more. I'm not sure, but that's an interesting call out that he mentioned the U.S. Navy. The proposal comes as President-elect Donald Trump has announced plans to repeal President Biden's AI executive order, arguing it, quote, hinders innovation. Yeah, this is what I was talking about, the White House executive order thing. Yet Trump has emphasized some of the same issues raised in the proposal, including the increased need for power for the U.S. to lead on advanced AI technology, signaling potential common ground. Trump allies earlier this year drafted a plan to cut tech regulations and invest in military tech. Yep, there it is. Without government investment, the United States will lose its technological edge over China and other competitors, OpenAI leaders warn in the document. And I think one thing that sucks is that a lot of justification too for the government is they justify things based off of its military use. And so it could be, that's a big frame for the government. And if you're coming to try to lobby, you know, you could mention military and they would gobble that up, I'm sure. And we've already you know, in the previous stream I covered how the DoD has a significant portion of the government spend on AI, at least its contracts. And I wouldn't be surprised if we continue in that direction. Given the stakes, we need to think big, act big, and build big. The OpenAI proposal reads, these decisions determine whether a nation leads or lags in technological innovation, often without far-reaching consequences for economic competitiveness and national security. OpenAI spokeswoman Liz Bergois declined to comment beyond the proposal. The policy recommendations signal an escalation of OpenAI's relationship with the U.S. government, pushing the federal branch to invest in, subsidize, and boost the AI industry. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman has lobbied governments in the United States and the Middle East to support a plan to raise billions of dollars to build an infrastructure company that would build new chips. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, the Middle East, because I think cheap power is over there because of oil, and if you even want to do renewables, at least solar, because of the essentially a desert, most of it is. But that's interesting. And also, like, there's a lot of money over there because of all the Saudi print stuff. Now, I think there's a moral, ethical consideration, maybe. But Sam Altman, he's out for, he has dollar signs in his eyes right now. Here, I think what you will see is this focus on importance of American leadership in AI innovation, said Jennifer Huddleston, a senior fellow in the technology policy of the Cato Institute. That's certainly something that we can expect to continue, and aligns with some of the rhetoric we've seen from Trump White House. Yeah. And also, I mean, that's just an easy way to, like, get Trump to listen, is like, oh, this is for Americans, you know? AI and big tech executives have said the race for better AI is essential to Americans' future, and have warned that if the United States does not maintain its technological edge, then China will use AI to constrain American military and commercial power. Politicians have emphasized that the push for government to boost the AI industry has bipartisan backing. Yeah, I mean, that's fair, and it should have bipartisan backing. It's in the common interest of both parties. But they're definitely just, like, these are just like buzzwords to get politicians to pay attention, though, too. Like, of course that big tech's going to say this. They have every incentive to, because they're going to be getting most of the money that would go towards this, you know, so just something to consider and think about. China's high-tech ambitions began raising alarms in Washington in 2015 when Chinese leader Xi Jinping Made in China 2025 plan disclosed the nation's aim to rival the United States in key technological fields. In 2017, soon after Trump began his first presidency, Beijing policymakers added a target to become the world's leader in AI by 2030. Dang. While the United States is still well ahead in artificial intelligence, China has narrowed the gap and has certain advantages, such as lower labor costs for time-consuming tasks, such as training AI models, an asset that worries the U.S. officials. Yeah. But that's not a good reason. Like, yeah, they have lower labor costs, but there's more to it than that. You have higher labor costs here, but we definitely have a higher quality of life. More developed. Biden tried to boost the U.S. tech industry while slowing down China's AI progress with billions of dollars of investment in new computer chip factories and restrictions on exporting high-end tech to China. Trump has already signaled an aggressive military approach to China with the appointments of fierce China hawks such as Republican Michael Waltz, or Representative Michael Waltz, Republican from Florida, and Senator Marco Rubio, also Republican from Florida, to import foreign policy positions. And, you know, we've put a lot of sanctions, not sanctions, but yeah, I guess sanctions, and also rules in those and further down in the supply chain, such as the makers of the equipment that makes chips, not necessarily chip makers, and also chip makers like TSMC, the chip makers like Applied Materials. With TSMC, there's been some drama around the TSMC stuff because there's been chips that have been found in China that TSMC has made when I feel like they or not feel like, but I think they shouldn't have been making them for Huawei. But yeah, that's gonna continue even more so. China's gonna get frustrated if they aren't already. Training and running AI software is extremely expensive and energy intensive. Companies need to buy thousands of state-of-the-art computer chips and run computations through them constantly, using electricity to run them at full speed and water to keep them cool. Google, Microsoft, and Facebook have spent tens of billions of dollars this year building new data centers and filling them with computer chips. Despite big tech companies' pledges to lower their carbon emissions, many have ramped up their energy use as they build data centers to train new AI models and run AI applications for their customers. The boom in new data centers for AI has, in some places, increased energy prices for everyday consumers, which is shitty. Multifaceted reason, I'm sure, because of that, but yeah, it sucks. I don't know if I'd be okay with that. Corporations should be taking the hit. During the campaign, Trump met with supporters in Silicon Valley and said on the popular All In Tech podcast that he recognized how much the AI industry needed energy production. They need electricity at levels that nobody's ever experienced before to be successful, to be a leader in AI, Trump said. It's funny, whenever I hear a quote from Trump, I can just picture exactly how he would say it. Like, they need electricity levels, nobody's ever experienced them before to be successful. The amount of electricity that needs to double what we have right now and even triple what we have right now. Yeah. Some tech leaders have said improvements in AI software and computer chip efficiency will bring down the technology's soaring energy cost, but Ullman has argued that massive increase in computing power is necessary even with these improvements. Yeah. And I mean, if we've learned anything from this stream, it's that it's gonna continue to go up. I mean, we were just looking at Epoch AI's research on their predictions of how fast the compute and things are increasing, energy use is increasing. So it's not going anywhere. The history of the U.S. is one of iconic infrastructure projects that moved the country forward. The auto industry, the Tennessee Valley Authority, the Manhattan Project, arguable. The interstate highway system, OpenAI said in the proposal. The document suggested a National Transmission Highway Act that would invest in improvements to the electrical grid, high-speed internet, and new energy sources for training AI. The proposal calls for the government to unblock the planning, permitting, and payment for new projects. And I think the permitting is the largest thing. The zoning and permitting is a big reason why we are in the housing shortage, but mainly because of, NIMBYs and such, where like they think they're worried about their property prices or something dumb. In turn, we have, record homeless because housing is expensive and, other problems. Like, if we open up zoning and you actually build multi-use things, more multi-dwelling unit type of places, and you aren't limited in where you could build those, then we would solve our housing problem in very quickly. We'd just be at the limits of how fast we could build at that point. And I mean, some places are taking steps, but it's really not good enough. And I think, at least in California, the state was getting involved a bit because we have a large housing shortage, but they need to be more heavy-handed, I think, because local cities and towns just don't care, and they just kind of want to. I mean, it's political, these city council members and mayors, whatever, like they want to keep their job. They want to keep doing that. So, I mean, they're just going to listen to what the people say. I mean, not everyone, but, in places where NIMBYs are very outspoken and maybe the majority are those, then yeah, the housing problem's not going to get solved for those places when realistically they would probably be a great place to build multi-use, or at least have more multi-use or mixed use real estate and more affordable housing. So yeah, anyways. Yeah, so yeah, bringing it back to this, I'm sure it's similar. You know, the permitting and zoning is very particular, especially in California. And while I think if you compare it to a place like Texas, it's kind of good, you know, keeping mixed use in houses where people live and warehouses and industrial places out of the way. Like, that's good. But I think there could be more efficient ways of processing things, making it a bit quicker, not only to give it but also to deny. I think being quickly denied is just as important as being quickly issuing the permit. So yeah, OpenAI also called the government to commit to buying energy from new electricity generating projects to make them less risky for private companies to build. Mixed feelings about that one. Okay, wait, let's just unpack this, because the reason electricity is expensive is because a lot of places are for profit and they're selling electricity to customers to make a profit. And so obviously if they're for profit, the you know, demand comes up, they're going to increase prices for everyone, but it's at the cost of these corporations coming in. So to then want to incentivize more private companies to own and operate power projects or electricity generating projects would just kind of exacerbate that, at least for the consumer, because the consumer would end up paying for that, especially if the government's giving them benefits. You know, our tax dollars are them paying for that. I would rather it go to local municipals. You know, the local municipalities can expand their power and reserve a portion of that for the corporations, but the corporations need to be funding things like that. And it kind of works like that in the way. There was a similar drama about, I think it was like Utah or like Missouri or somewhere kind of along there where, I think it was Ohio actually, where usually the large corporations like data centers will pay up front, and then they pay a portion of the cost to cover like what to look out for the consumer, to cover cost instead of the like local company, as a result to not get the prices increased. And if we continue going down this private route, it's just the consumer is gonna end up fronting the bill for it, which is not how it should be. The government should also fund new job programs to train workers for data centers. Yeah, that's good. I like that, because I'd want to work in a data center. That'd be cool. A North American compact for AI would create an economic bloc of countries in the Western Hemisphere that could allow people with expertise, and critical supplies to smoothly cross borders, giving the United States even more economic heft to win the AI arms race. AI proponents often lament the United States' lagging approach to nuclear power generation. Yes. But as we covered in the few weeks here on the stream, this is increasing thanks to these AI companies and big tech. And some AI companies have struck deals to get shutter nuclear plants back online, or investing in startups trying to build cheaper, smaller reactors, like Microsoft wanting to get 3 Mile Island back online. But I think the smaller reactors are kind of gonna be the way to go, especially for data centers, because you could just keep them on site essentially, or close nearby. The OpenAI proposal suggests tapping the U.S. Navy's expertise in running small reactors that power some of its submarines and surface ships. Yeah, and that's kind of what we looked into a little bit before, because they have good experience with this. Although this one is a bit more iffy. Yeah. A renaissance in nuclear technology will help drive reindustrialization of the United States, OpenAI says. Yeah, so that's interesting. I do wonder what will actually be passed and what the conditions will be if anything goes through, but yeah, it's interesting times for policy and AI. Well, let's look at this real quick. But I guess OpenAI is going to launch their an AI agent early next year. This is one of my first streams where we covered enterprise AIs like Salesforce and Microsoft, who are both going full in on AI agents. OpenAI wants to get in on it. I think this is a good next evolution, because I think it will allow people to actually solve problems easier or use it more as an assistant. Yeah, the tool will apparently be available first as a research preview and developer tool in January. So yeah, it's cool. OpenAI is preparing to release an autonomous agent that can control computers and perform tasks independently, codenamed Operator. The company plans to debut it as a research project and developer tool in January, according to Bloomberg. I think the benefit of this now, if it could control computers and perform tasks independently, you could essentially task it with something like, you could task it with anything. Let's say like, hey, go add on this to my calendar, and then an agent would go. You dispatch an agent, maybe even multiple agents. While there's a dispatcher agent, and then that would then dispatch multiple agents to then accomplish the thing that you want. Each of them doing one thing, passing on information to the next, something similar like that. And so this is where it could actually get really interesting, actually similar to like your like Cyberpunk game or something. You have your agent that you could talk to, and he would like do stuff. Like imagine you have someone you could talk to, and then they would dispatch other agents behind the scenes to kind of get them to complete the task. That's what I'm imagining it, and it'd be like. I'm sure it won't initially, but in the future. This move intensifies the competition among tech giants developing AI agents. Anthropic recently introduced its computer use compatibility, while Google is reportedly preparing its own version for a December release. The timing of Operator's eventual consumer release remains under wraps, but its development signals a pivotal shift towards AI systems that can actively engage with computer interfaces rather than just processing text and images. Yeah, but I think it's going to be pretty... The compute intensivity, the compute power required to do these things just keeps going up and up, though, I feel like. Because now, while it's saying rather than just processing text and images, the way Anthropic does it is essentially just treating it like a lot of images. And that's how it reads what's on screen. So, I mean, yeah. All the leading AI companies have promised autonomous AI agents, and OpenAI has hyped up the possibility recently. In a Reddit AMA a few weeks ago, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman said, quote, "We will have better and better models, but I think the things that will feel like the next giant breakthrough will be agents." At an OpenAI press event ahead of the company's annual Dev Day last month, Chief Product Officer Kevin Weil said, "I think 2025 is going to be the year that agentic systems finally hit the mainstream." Yeah, I agree with that. Because realistically, too, they are, like I've kind of saying, there's going to be not as big actual breakthrough in the model's knowledge, the large language model's knowledge. And they're going to have to differentiate and show progress in some way, especially considering that they actually want to make money, which they talk about right here. AI labs face mounting pressure to monetize their costly models, especially as incremental improvements may not justify higher prices for users. And next year is just going to be definitely full of incremental improvements and nothing that large. No large jumps, I don't predict. We'll see. The hope is that autonomous agents are the next breakthrough product, a ChatGPT scale innovation that validates the massive investment in AI development. Yeah, so this is interesting. There's not much here, but I'm excited for this, and also excited for AI agents to become more consumer friendly and not necessarily enterprisey. Especially as these kind of, as I figure out my content creation workflow. I was at the beginning of stream showing how I was trying to feed in my transcripts from streams to summarize my opinions on things, just to keep like a record and be able to reference things back. And I think that'd be interesting to then maybe spin content or ideas out of that, or see how my opinions shift over time, or like how my predictions turn out. I don't know. I feel like you could do some cool stuff with that. So yeah, it's interesting. I hope this continues to be developed faster. Want it now. And yeah, that's all I planned for stream today. No stream tomorrow. It's Thursday. Enjoy the weekend. I'll be back Monday, 8 a.m. Monday, 8 a.m. Pacific. The usual. Not sure what I have in store. Keep an eye out on YouTube. I want to release videos, but I definitely just get caught up in the research, and I like the research part a lot and not so much the video editing and such. So I need to be more motivated. So yeah, check out YouTube for what's coming next. But yeah, thank you for watching. Be back Monday, 8 a.m. Pacific. 8 a.m. Pacific. More emerging tech news. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.